Family, I know what it feels like to wake up heavy, carrying burdens nobody else can see, those whispers of doubt telling you this is it, this is all life has for you. But I came here to remind you of something powerful, something the enemy doesn't want you to know. Better is on the way. See, negative feelings are like clouds. They might block the sunlight for a moment, but they can't stop the sun from rising again. There's a version of you waiting on the other side of that pain. Stronger, wiser, unstoppable. And today, we're not just going to talk about pushing past fear and doubt. We're going to unlock the mindset and faith that will carry you into your next season of victory. Are you ready to believe that the best is yet to come? Sometimes the loudest voice you hear isn't coming from the people around you. It's coming from the inside of your own mind. We often wake up with that quiet, nagging feeling that we are not enough, that maybe we've missed our chance, or that the mistakes we've made in the past define who we are today. This inner dialogue, the constant chatter of negativity, becomes like background noise we stop noticing. But what we don't realize is that this noise shapes the way we see ourselves, the way we act, and even the way we believe. The truth is, if you want to overcome negative feelings and truly walk into a better season of your life, you must first change the conversation happening inside your own soul. When you wake up in the morning and the first thing you think is, "I'm tired, I can't do this, life is just too heavy," you set the tone for your entire day. That thought becomes a seed, and like any seed, it grows. If you water it with more negativity, telling yourself you're not good enough, that you'll never change, that nothing ever works out for you, eventually it will grow into a tree that shades out your dreams and possibilities. But here's the truth. You are not the sum total of your negative thoughts. You are not your fears. You are not your failures. You are not even your feelings. You are greater than every doubt that's ever crossed your mind. Changing your inner dialogue doesn't mean pretending life is perfect or denying that you feel pain. It means choosing to speak life to yourself even in the midst of the storm. Think about it. How many times have you encouraged other people when they were struggling? You told them, "You can do this, don't give up, I believe in you." But when it comes to your own reflection in the mirror, you struggle to give yourself that same grace. The mind has been trained, sometimes from childhood, to focus on what's wrong instead of what's possible. To overcome negative feelings, you must retrain it. This shift begins with awareness. Most people live their entire lives without realizing how much power their self-talk carries. They believe every thought that pops into their head without questioning where it came from. But you can't fight a battle you don't see, so the first step is to catch those negative whispers when they arrive. Notice when your mind says you're not smart enough, or you'll never change, or you're always going to feel this way. Don't just accept those thoughts as truth. Stop and ask yourself, who told me that? Where did I learn to speak to myself this way? When you pause to examine these beliefs, you'll often discover they didn't even start with you. Maybe it was a teacher who underestimated you, a parent who was too broken to love you fully, or a society that told you to stay small. The negativity you carry is often borrowed, passed down through experiences that no longer serve you. Once you've recognized these destructive patterns, the next step is to replace them. The mind does not simply stop thinking, it needs new thoughts to focus on. This is where affirmations, spoken with conviction and repeated daily, begin to rewrite your inner dialogue. When you wake up, instead of saying, "I can't," start saying, "I am capable, I am equipped, I am worthy of better." At first, these words may feel awkward or even untrue because they conflict with the old story you've been telling yourself for years. But words have power. The more you speak them, the more your mind begins to believe them. The more you believe them, the more you act on them, and action, repeated over time, transforms your reality. But it's not just about repeating positive phrases. It's about believing that your thoughts can create change. Negative feelings often take root because we've convinced ourselves that our current state is permanent. But nothing in life is fixed. You are not stuck. Every day you are being given a chance to choose differently, to think differently, to speak differently. Think of your mind as a garden. Right now, it may be overrun with weeds of self, doubt, and fear, but every time you choose a positive thought, you plant a seed of hope. Over time, those seeds can grow strong enough to push out the weeds entirely. Another powerful way to shift your inner dialogue is by visualizing the version of yourself who has already overcome these feelings. Close your eyes and picture that person, standing taller, smiling brighter, walking with confidence and peace. Hear how they talk to themselves. They speak with kindness, with authority, with unshakable belief that life is working for them, not against them. Now realize something important. That future version of you is not someone else. It's you, waiting for you to align your thoughts with who you were always meant to be. Sometimes changing the inner dialogue means confronting the lies head on. When your mind says you're not good enough, answer it. I am more than enough because I was created with purpose. When it says you always fail, declare every setback is a setup for my comeback. When it whispers nothing will change, speak boldly. Everything in my life is shifting for my good, even when I can't see it. These are not just words. They are declarations of faith and power that disrupt the cycle of negativity trying to keep you bound. The environment you create also fuels your inner conversation. If you surround yourself with people who constantly complain, criticize, and tear others down, it will be hard to maintain positive self-talk. The voices you hear daily become the echoes in your mind. That's why you must be intentional about what you listen to, what you read, and who you allow to speak into your life. Feed your mind messages of hope, success, and spiritual strength until it becomes natural for you to think that way. One of the most liberating truths is that you do not have to wait for your feelings to change before you change your thoughts. Feelings are temporary, but thoughts are the architects of your future. Even on days when you feel broken, defeated, or overwhelmed, you can still choose to speak life. You can still choose to imagine better, to declare better, to believe that better is coming. This isn't pretending. It's prophesying to your own soul. It's saying, I might be in the valley right now, but my mind is already walking toward the mountain. Over time, as you consistently shift your inner dialogue, something remarkable happens. Those heavy negative feelings lose their grip. The fear that once paralyzed you begins to fade. The sadness that weighed on your chest lifts, replaced by a quiet confidence that cannot be shaken. You start to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You start to believe in yourself the way you always wished someone else would believe in you. And as your mind transforms, your life begins to align with that transformation. Life has a way of making us feel like we are trapped in the middle of a storm with no way out. When hardships come, when relationships break, when money runs dry, when health fails, it can feel like the world is closing in on us. Negative feelings take root because our perspective narrows. We start seeing only what's wrong, only what's broken, only what's missing. We look at our lives through the lens of pain and disappointment, and it convinces us that this is all we will ever know. But perspective is powerful. It shapes how we interpret every moment, every trial, every blessing. To overcome negative feelings, you must learn how to shift your perspective and see beyond the struggle you're in. Think about a time when you were lost in discouragement. At that moment, everything felt final, hopeless, unchangeable. Yet, looking back now, you can see that it wasn't the end. It was just a chapter. What once seemed unbearable might have led to something greater. Growth you didn't expect, strength you didn't know you had, opportunities you couldn't see then. That is what perspective does. It reveals that life is never as fixed as it feels in the moment. There is always more happening beneath the surface than your emotions can comprehend. Sometimes the very challenges we want to escape are the stepping stones to the better future we've been praying for. But when you're in the middle of it, pain can distort your vision. It convinces you that you're stuck, that God has forgotten you, that nothing good could possibly come from this. You start asking questions like, why me? Why now? Why does it always feel like I'm the one who has to suffer? Those questions are natural, but they come from a perspective that only sees loss, not the potential for transformation. Perspective is like a window. If that window is covered in dirt and smudges of fear, doubt, and past trauma, everything you look at will appear dim and unclear. But if you take time to clean that window, to step back and see from a higher place, you begin to notice things you missed before. That heartbreak you thought was punishment might actually be protection from something that would have destroyed you. That closed door might be the only reason you're being positioned for something far greater than you imagined. There's a story of a traveler climbing a steep mountain. From the ground level, the journey feels impossible. The rocks are sharp, the air is thin, every step feels like a battle. But as the traveler climbs higher and higher, the view begins to change. From the top, what once felt chaotic and dangerous looks different. You can see the path clearly, you can see the valleys, the rivers, the way everything connects in a way that wasn't visible at the bottom. This is what happens when you change your perspective. You rise above the pain long enough to see that there's a bigger picture at work. Shifting perspective doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means refusing to let your current feelings define your future outcome. It's looking at adversity and asking not just why is this happening to me, but what is this trying to teach me? What strength is this building in me? How could this be preparing me for what's next? Those questions lift you from being a victim of circumstance to being a participant in your own transformation. Sometimes we hold on to negative feelings because we've given them authority over how we see ourselves. A failure makes us believe we are a failure. A rejection convinces us we are unworthy of love. A mistake tells us we are permanently flawed. But a shift in perspective reminds you that none of those things define who you are. They only describe a moment in time. You are not your pain. You are not your past. You are not the sum of your darkest days. You are a living, breathing possibility of change. When you begin to look at challenges as opportunities, something inside you awakens. Fear loses its grip because you recognize it as a signal for growth. Sadness becomes less like a prison and more like a Caesar. Something you are passing through, not somewhere you're meant to live. Imagine standing in a storm. If your focus is only on the rain and thunder, you'll believe the sun has disappeared forever. But when you lift your eyes to the horizon, you start to remember storms pass, seasons change, and the sun always rises again. That is perspective. It allows you to see the temporary nature of pain and the enduring promise of hope. Changing perspective often requires courage because it forces you to step outside of comfort zones and patterns you've known your whole life. Some of us have been conditioned to expect disappointment, to brace for the worst, to assume good things aren't meant for us. That mindset becomes a lens through which we see everything, and it's exhausting. To shift it, you must intentionally challenge those old beliefs. When your mind says nothing ever works out for me, you must look for even the smallest evidence of blessings that have already shown up. When your heart says, I can't handle this, you must remember the battles you've already survived, the strength you've already displayed, the victories you've already won. Perspective also deepens when you choose gratitude, even in dark times. Gratitude doesn't erase pain, but it reframes it. It takes your focus off what's missing and puts it on what remains. Maybe you lost something or someone important, but gratitude reminds you there's still breath in your lungs, people who love you, opportunities still waiting to be seized. It's the simple shift of saying, this is hard, but I'm still standing. This hurts, but I'm still learning. This feels like loss, but it's making room for something new. Sometimes the shift in perspective comes when you realize that life is not happening to you. It's happening for you. Every trial, every delay, every painful lesson is molding you into someone capable of carrying the blessings you've been asking for. Think about it. If you never faced pressure, you would never develop resilience. If you never had to navigate heartbreak, you might never learn compassion or discernment. If everything had been easy, you wouldn't have discovered the warrior within you who refuses to give up. Perspective is the bridge between where you are and where you're meant to be. Without it, you see only walls, obstacles, and endings. With it, you begin to see doors, paths, and beginnings. And once you've experienced that shift, negative feelings lose much of their power. You stop drowning in despair because you understand that this moment, no matter how painful, is not the whole story. There is still more to be written, more life to live, more victories to claim. When you shift perspective, you also reclaim control over your narrative. Instead of saying, this bad thing ruined me, you begin to say, this experience shaped me into someone stronger. Instead of saying, "I've been left behind," you declare, "I'm being set apart for something greater." This is not wishful thinking. It's recognizing that you are not defined by the view from the valley. You are destined for the mountaintop, and every step through darkness is a step closer to that light. Negative feelings often feel like invisible chains wrapped tightly around your heart and mind. These chains are made of fear, guilt, resentment, shame, anger, and unforgiveness. They don't just weigh you down emotionally. They control the way you see the world, the way you think about yourself, and even the way you respond to opportunities for healing and growth. What many people don't realize is that carrying these heavy chains for too long becomes normal. You get so used to feeling bound that you forget you were ever meant to live free. To overcome negative feelings and truly step into a better season, you must learn how to break these emotional chains once and for all. The first chain many people struggle with is guilt. Guilt is that relentless whisper that says, "You're not worthy because of what you did. You'll never rise above your past. You'll never be forgiven." It doesn't matter if the mistake was made years ago. Guilt has a way of keeping you stuck in that moment, reliving it over and over. It makes you feel unworthy of love, success, or happiness because you believe you don't deserve it. But guilt is deceptive. While it pretends to keep you accountable, it actually keeps you imprisoned. It stops you from growing into the person you're meant to become because it ties you to who you used to be. Breaking free from guilt requires recognizing that your past does not define your future. Every single person has stumbled, failed, or made choices they regret. But those choices are chapters in your story, not the ending. Forgiving yourself is not about ignoring responsibility. It's about refusing to let guilt be the voice that narrates your life. Another chain that keeps negative feelings alive is fear. Fear is powerful because it disguises itself as protection. It tells you not to try new things because you might fail, not to trust anyone because you might get hurt, not to dream too big because you might be disappointed. At first, fear feels like it's keeping you safe, but what it's really doing is building invisible walls around your potential. Fear keeps you living small when you were created to rise higher, and the longer you entertain fear, the more it controls your decisions. To break this chain, you must face fear directly and understand that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward in spite of it. Every great breakthrough requires stepping outside of your comfort zone. Every time you push past fear, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than the limits your mind has set. Resentment is another heavy chain that steals your peace. When someone hurts you deeply, it's natural to want to hold on to the pain, to replay the betrayal in your mind, to demand justice in your own heart. But resentment doesn't punish the person who hurt you. It punishes you. It's like carrying around a burning coal, believing you're holding it for revenge, but you're only burning your own hand. Resentment keeps wounds open that were meant to heal. Breaking this chain doesn't mean you excuse what happened or deny the pain. It means you choose to set yourself free from the weight of that hurt. Forgiveness is the key. Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened, but it cuts the tie that keeps you emotionally tethered to that moment. It allows you to finally move forward without dragging yesterday's pain into tomorrow's opportunities. Shame is another silent chain that grips tightly around many hearts. Unlike guilt, which is about something you've done, shame makes you believe there is something wrong with who you are. It says you're broken, you're not lovable. If people knew the real you, they would walk away. Shame isolates you, silences you, and convinces you that healing isn't possible. It's one of the hardest chains to see because it feels like part of your identity. But shame is a liar. You were never created to live in hiding or believe you're less than enough. To break the chain of shame, you have to challenge those lies directly. You have to remind yourself of your worth, not based on perfection, but on the undeniable truth that you were created intentionally and beautifully. Shame loses its grip the moment you step into self-acceptance and refuse to apologize for existing as you are. Another chain that feeds negative feelings is unforgiveness, not just towards others, but towards yourself. Many people think forgiveness is something you do for someone else, but true forgiveness is freedom for your own soul. Holding on to unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. It keeps you emotionally stuck in the moment of pain. You can't step into a better future while clutching tightly to bitterness from the past. Breaking this chain requires making a conscious choice to release it, not because the hurt wasn't real, not because the betrayal didn't cut deep, but because you refuse to let it control your life anymore. These chains, guilt, fear, resentment, shame, and unforgiveness, often become so interwoven that it feels impossible to untangle them, but breaking free starts with awareness. You must recognize where you are bound before you can unlock the shackles. Pay attention to your triggers. What words or memories stir up heavy emotions? What situations make you feel small, trapped, or powerless? Each of these signals points to a chain that still has a hold on you. Once you've identified these chains, you begin the process of releasing them one by one. This is not an overnight journey. Emotional freedom takes time because it requires rewiring how you think, how you feel, and how you respond to pain. It requires being intentional about healing. You might need to write letters you never send, expressing the words you've been holding in your heart. You might need to speak affirmations that remind you of your strength and worth every single morning. You might need to cry out to pray, to ask for divine strength to do what feels impossible. As you break these chains, something powerful happens. You reclaim the energy and peace that negativity has been stealing from you. When guilt no longer weighs you down, you walk lighter. When fear loses its grip, you begin stepping into opportunities you once ran from. When resentment fades, you experience genuine peace that no one can take away. When shame is silenced, you walk with your head high, knowing you are enough just as you are. When unforgiveness is released, your heart finally feels the freedom to love and trust again. Breaking emotional chains doesn't mean you'll never face pain again, but it does mean that pain will no longer control you. It means you no longer carry the heavy baggage of every wound, every mistake, every betrayal. It means you start living from a place of wholeness rather than brokenness. These chains can be shattered, no matter how strong they feel, no matter how long they've been holding you captive. Deep within you is a strength that has been waiting for you to stop dragging these weights and finally step into the freedom you are meant to have. There are moments in life when you feel like you're standing at the edge of something greater, but negative feelings keep pulling you back. You know there's more to you. You sense that a breakthrough is near, yet fear and doubt whisper that you're not ready. This is where faith-fueled action becomes the bridge between where you are and where you're meant to be. Faith alone is powerful, and action alone can take you far, but when you combine the two, something unstoppable is birthed inside you. This combination doesn't just move mountains. It reshapes who you are and what you believe is possible. Faith-fueled action begins with a decision to believe in what you cannot yet see. Life will present you with countless reasons to stay stuck in negative feelings. You'll look at your circumstances and think, there's no way out. I don't have the resources. I'm not strong enough. But faith speaks a different language. Faith says, even though it doesn't make sense right now, there is a way. Even though I can't see the full picture, something greater is aligning for me. Faith is not wishful thinking. It's a deliberate choice to trust that you were created for more than your current struggle. But faith by itself isn't enough. Many people believe things will get better, but never take a single step toward change. They pray for transformation, yet stay exactly where they are because fear of failure has convinced them it's safer to do nothing. True transformation comes when faith ignites action. It's when you take a step toward your dream even when you feel unqualified. It's when you speak up even though your voice trembles. It's when you move forward even when doubt screams at you to stay behind. The challenge is that action fueled by faith rarely feels comfortable. It pushes you into the unknown. It demands that you trust yourself and a higher power at the same time. Imagine standing on a dock, staring at a boat that will take you to a new destination. Faith tells you the boat will carry you safely. But until you actually step off the dock and into that boat, nothing changes. You can believe all day long that you're capable of living a better life, but until you take a bold step toward it, those beliefs remain just words. Faith-fueled action is also about persistence. Sometimes we take one brave step and expect immediate results, but change rarely happens overnight. You might take 10 steps forward and still feel like nothing is shifting. This is where most people quit. They confuse slow progress with failure. But faith reminds you that even when you can't see movement, seeds are growing beneath the surface. Every time you choose courage over fear, you're planting a seed that will eventually break through. Every small act of faith-driven action is building momentum that will carry you toward your breakthrough. Negative feelings often grow stronger when you feel powerless, when it seems like nothing you do matters. But action disrupts that feeling. When you start making even small, deliberate choices toward healing and growth, you send a message to your mind and spirit that you are not stuck. You are moving. Maybe you wake up and start journaling your thoughts instead of letting them spiral. Maybe you sign up for a class that stretches your skills. Maybe you end a toxic relationship or walk into a room where you've always felt unseen and finally speak your truth. These are not just actions. They are declarations that fear no longer gets the final say in your life. Faith-fueled action also requires listening to that quiet inner voice that nudges you toward more. Often that voice gets drowned out by the noise of self, doubt, and outside opinions. People may tell you to stay where it's safe, to settle for less, to lower your expectations. Negative feelings latch onto those voices because they echo your own insecurities, but faith demands that you trust your inner guidance more than external noise. It calls you to take steps others may not understand because your vision and destiny weren't given to them. They were given to you. Another powerful element of faith-fueled action is resilience. When you choose to move forward, setbacks will come. Doors will close, people will doubt you, plans will fall apart. In those moments, it's easy to retreat back into fear and negative feelings, telling yourself you are foolish for even trying. But resilience fueled by faith sees setbacks differently. It understands that every no redirects you toward the right path. Every failure carries a lesson that strengthens your next move. Resilience says, "This didn't work, but I am not done. I will adjust, I will learn, and I will keep going." Faith-driven action also transforms how you see yourself. When you consistently act in faith, you begin to build evidence that you are stronger than you believed. You watch yourself do things you once thought impossible, and slowly the negative self-talk loses its power. You no longer see yourself as the broken, fearful version you once carried. You start seeing yourself as capable, bold, and worthy of every blessing headed your way. Action reinforces faith, and faith fuels more action, creating a cycle of unstoppable growth. Sometimes faith-fueled action is quiet and unseen. It's the person who forgives when no one knows the inner battle it took. It's the late nights spent working on a vision that hasn't yet materialized. It's the silent decision to get up and try again after countless disappointments. Other times, it's loud and public. A bold speech, a major leap into unknown territory, a decision that defies expectations. But whether quiet or loud, every faith-driven move carries transformative power because it's rooted in belief, not fear. To live this way, you must also embrace uncertainty. Faith-fueled action doesn't come with guarantees or clear instructions. Often, you'll have to take the first step without knowing what the second step looks like. This is where trust becomes essential. You trust that as you move forward, clarity will meet you. You trust that even if you stumble, you're still being guided towards something better. You trust that every risk taken in faith is leading you closer to a life where negative feelings no longer dominate your mind and heart. There's a freedom that comes when you realize you don't need every answer before you act. You just need the courage to move despite the unknown. That willingness breaks the cycle of stagnation that negative feelings thrive on. Fear wants you paralyzed, thinking you're not ready or worthy. But each act of faith is proof that you are capable of walking into the unknown and still finding your way. Faith-fueled action ultimately shifts the atmosphere of your entire life. It changes the conversations you have with yourself. It alters the way you approach challenges. It teaches you to see every obstacle as a stepping stone, every delay as preparation, every trial as evidence that something bigger is being built in you. And as you keep moving forward with faith guiding your steps, you begin to witness doors opening that you never imagined, opportunities arriving that once felt impossible, and a version of yourself emerging that is unshakable, unstoppable, and fully aligned with the better life that's been waiting for you. Every season of life carries a rhythm, a flow that moves us from one stage of growth to the next. Sometimes we get stuck in a season that feels like endless struggle, as though nothing is changing, as though the promises we've held onto are delayed beyond recognition. This is when negative feelings creep in the strongest, when we believe the pain is permanent and hope is too far out of reach. But there is a truth we often forget when the darkness feels unending. Better is not only coming, it is already on the way. The process of manifesting a new season begins long before you see evidence of change. It starts within you in the way you think, the way you believe, and the way you prepare for what's next. Manifestation is not magic, it is alignment. It is when your thoughts, your emotions, your words, and your actions begin to agree with the life you are meant to live. Most people try to change their circumstances without first changing what's happening inside them. They want new opportunities, better relationships, greater success, deeper peace. But they keep nurturing old patterns of thought that repel those very blessings. To bring forth a new season, you must first become the version of yourself who can live fully in that season. Think of a seed buried in the soil. Long before it ever breaks through the ground, transformation is happening in the dark. Roots are forming, structure is being built, preparation is taking place unseen. If you judge the seed only by what you could see above ground, you'd think nothing was happening. But given time, the unseen work produces undeniable growth. Your life is the same way. Even when it feels like nothing is moving, the universe, God, and every force working for your good is shaping something beneath the surface. Manifesting a new season requires trusting that unseen process and refusing to let impatience uproot the seed before it has a chance to bloom. Negative feelings thrive in delay. When you've prayed, planned, or worked towards something and it hasn't yet appeared, discouragement whispers that maybe it was never meant for you. But timing is crucial in manifestation. Sometimes the delay is protection, keeping you from stepping into something you're not yet prepared to handle. Other times, the delay is strengthening you so that when the blessing arrives, you won't lose it. A new season demands a new level of resilience, wisdom, and vision. And these qualities are forged in moments when it feels like nothing is happening. To manifest a new season, you must start speaking to your future as if it's already real. The words you use have creative power. If you constantly declare that life will never change, that you're stuck, that happiness isn't for you, those words build walls around your possibilities. But when you speak with faith, saying things like, "I am growing into my breakthrough. Good things are aligning for me. Everything I need is making its way toward me," you begin to shift the atmosphere around you. These declarations are not empty phrases. They are seeds of intention that shape your mindset and actions. Over time, they draw opportunities that match the energy you are releasing. Visualization is another powerful tool in bringing forth a better season. The mind doesn't fully distinguish between imagined experiences and real ones, meaning that when you vividly picture yourself thriving, succeeding, and living with peace, your brain begins to rewire itself to support that reality. It influences the decisions you make, the risks you take, and the way you carry yourself. You start behaving like someone who belongs in the life you're envisioning, which draws that life closer to you. Every great transformation begins with seeing it internally before it ever shows up externally. But manifestation is not only about thinking and speaking. It requires action that reflects your belief in what's coming. If you believe a new chapter is on the way, but you continue to make choices rooted in fear or scarcity, you delay its arrival. Action is proof to yourself and to the world that you are ready for more. Maybe that action is healing a relationship, investing in your personal growth, saying no to old patterns that no longer serve you, or saying yes to opportunities that scare you but push you toward your destiny. Each step you take in alignment with your envisioned future is a declaration that you expect better and are preparing to receive it. Often, the process of manifesting a better season involves releasing what cannot go with you into that new chapter. You cannot step fully into abundance while clinging to mindsets of lack. You cannot enter healthy relationships while carrying toxic beliefs about your worth. You cannot embrace peace while holding tightly to chaos from your past. Letting go is painful because it feels like losing a part of yourself, but in reality, it's making room for what you've been praying for. Think of a tree in autumn. It must shed its leaves to make way for new growth in spring. In the same way, you must release old attachments, habits, and environments that are blocking the flow of the new season you're stepping into. Faith plays a central role in this process. Manifestation is not just about self-determination. It's about aligning with divine timing and trusting that a higher power is orchestrating things for your good. There will be moments when you cannot see any evidence that things are improving, yet faith calls you to keep believing, keep preparing, keep expecting. Faith reminds you that unseen doesn't mean unchanging, and silence doesn't mean abandonment. When you walk in faith, you stop asking if better is coming and start declaring that it already is. As you align your mind, emotions, and actions with this truth, you begin to notice subtle shifts. Doors that were once closed start to crack open. People who inspire and elevate you begin entering your life. Opportunities that match your growth start presenting themselves. These changes may seem small at first, but they are signs that the atmosphere around you is shifting. Just as dawn breaks gradually before the full sunrise, your new season often arrives in stages. One victory, one answered prayer, one moment of clarity at a time. It's also important to guard your environment during this transition. Negative voices, whether from others or from your own mind, can pull you back into the patterns you're trying to escape. Surround yourself with people who see the potential in you, who speak life into your vision, who remind you of the promises you've been holding onto. Protect your mental and spiritual space from anything that stirs doubt or diminishes hope. Your new season requires nurturing just like a fragile sprout needs care in its earliest stages. Manifesting better doesn't mean life will suddenly be free of challenges. Every level of growth comes with its own set of obstacles. But when you're living in alignment with your purpose and fueled by faith, those obstacles no longer feel like punishments. They feel like training grounds. They prepare you to handle the greater blessings and responsibilities that come with your new season. As this process unfolds, something transformative happens within you. The person who once doubted that life could change begins to walk with confidence and expectancy. The one who once lived weighed down by negative feelings begins to carry unshakable hope. The chains of the past loosen, the fog of uncertainty lifts, and a quiet assurance takes root in your spirit. Better is not only coming, it has already begun, and every step you take is leading you closer to living fully in that promise.